Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Malaki Gumadu, for joining me once again. I appreciate you for giving me the time and honor. So straight to my first question, which is that as an associate of Mr. Femi Falana, why do you think it took him this long, the time that it took him to essentially, sue? So there are two people involved there, Verydarkman and Bobrisky, and I want us to isolate them and pick them one after the other. So let's start with Verydarkman. Why do you think it took them, that long to eventually ask him, to delete those, injurious statements made against Mr. Falana and the Trump house?
Well, in fairness to you who has posed this question, first is that time in this context is a relative term. 1 year could be a short time, 1 week could be a very long time. So if I have an idea of the time you are talking about and why you think that is a long time, I will answer you specifically. But generally speaking, actions on libel and defamation and even slander generally are matters that come within the high court of the respective states of the Federation. In Lagos State, where we are, and where this alleged defamation occur, in the procedure of the court, there's what we call pre-action procedure. If you rush to court without complying with those pre-action procedures, you will rush in and rush out, or be rushed out. Falana is not just a comrade, Falana is a senior lawyer and a senior advocate of Nigeria. He understands this thing perfectly well. So whereas the public is dealing with the sentiment of the matter, he knows that he's not going to a court of a public opinion. The court of law is not a court of sentiment, it's a court of law. What is law? The proper position of the law. So you may be amazed that that which you call a delayed response may have taken the time of first giving the aggressor the opportunity to act, retract the offending publication, apologize, or make any form of restitution, depending on what he feels should be enough compensation. If he is given 2 weeks or a week to do that, that week must be factored into your term, your long term, which is why I say it's relative. When he fails to do that, that will now activate your right to approach the court, having probably complied with the pre-action protocols. What are pre-action protocols? There are steps which you must show to have been taken with a view to seeking an amicable resolution of this matter outside the court, many of which you have now approached the court to be able to deal with the same matter. So if you add all of this and the time frame within which you are expected to do one or two things, you will understand. Well, otherwise, from day one, and I'm happy you said I'm an associate. I'm not just an associate, it's my comrade. And we suffer collateral damage with respect to this madness. In fact, I am persuaded to believe that what is happening is a very unfortunate discourse. Like disconnection of this generation of Nigerians, this Gen Z group, and this demography with the surviving heroes of this country. One of whom is Mr. Femi Falana, and I say it not just proudly, but very boldly. No person is an angel. Not me, not you, not him. However, this country must take conscious steps and make deliberate effort to protect the integrity and worth of some of the surviving heroes of this country, not for their sake, but as an inspiration to the younger generation. Look, let me tell you, and I'm speaking from the standpoint of one who should know, who is involved. Our position was to just keep quiet. Our initial informed position was to, and we have kept quiet on a few occasions. Because you cannot, as a normal human being, begin to chase a madman who has come to pack your clothes as you are taking your bath. The madman may be dressed in ragtags and walk away with your clothes. You that came out from the bedroom naked, chasing him, the question may be higher on your own part. Secondly, many of these things are done to legitimize. Do you know what it is to have Femi Falana's name thrown around? The media is awash. The social media is selling them. A friend of mine called me from Canada today and said, no. Who are these people? Do they know where we are coming from? That is not to detract from the fact that infractions can happen anytime. That is not to detract from the fact that once a hero can become a villain. But on this score, you will be here to see the end of it. Already, they are apologizing, but you can't just perform freely. We must let these people know that you don't talk recklessly. You don't just just walk into the lion's den. I think you can just walk at. I mean, if a family is treated, we're all vulnerable.
As I speak to you now, while I was, speaking with you in your while you are responding to the question that I asked, I tried to see if Verydarkman had deleted that injurious comment, and it's still there. It is still there 3 weeks after. That is what you still see there, is still there. So what do you think, the Falanas can do, having sent out, because you have said earlier that they gave all of this time to see whether this guy was going to be contrite and, for that reason, apologize and delete some of these injurious comments. He hasn't done that on his own. They have now sent out a letter. The court is now asking him to do that. The court sent out this letter to him a few days ago, and the thing is still there. So what do you think, what options are open to the Falanas with this kind of situation?
Well, you see, it's almost, the options are there. You see, what was done was to give them a window. When Israel was to attack Gaza, or each time they want to attack Gaza, Rafah, any of these states at war, they will announce and inform the civilians to vacate those areas. Once they've done that, anyone who is found within that axis will have his or herself to blame. It's the same thing. That's why we quit it as a warfare. Please, I'm set to engage. However, it is not all wars that must be fought, even if every battle must be tested. You do this, A, B, C, D, and then we find a way around it. Now that he has refused to do it, and this time around, an order of court. There are preservative orders, there are directives of court, and it's still not done. That's not only contemptuous, it means that they have an answer to the battle that is coming. So the battle line is drawn. The battle line is drawn.
Mr. Falana is suing both Bobrisky and Verydarkman. Bobrisky himself has sued Verydarkman. How much? And then Verydarkman just said, I think today, that they've once again been invited to the House committee investigating this matter on Monday. Now, I guess my question is, how much can we learn from that investigative body? Again, since the matter seems to be in court from all sides. Bobrisky is suing Verydarkman. Mr. Falana is suing both of them. How much can we learn? Since from the little I know from you lawyers, just like you have just told me now, they get to the House of Representatives and each party is saying, I can't say much. The matter is in court.
Okay, very good question. The lesson will come first from the action taken by Mr. Falana himself. The House of Representatives know that intervened, but they intervened before the matter went to court. Now that the matter is in court, their investigation will have to be moderated. Otherwise, it will begin to, maybe unwittingly or unintentionally, will begin to interfere in the life matter in the court. So what are the lessons? The first is that the decision of Mr. Femi Falana to go to court is to teach and send a message to the public that we are a country regulated by law first. Secondly, that you cannot just defame people and walk away. And thirdly, that it is a bit costly to think that you can just perfunctorily communicate falsehood, damage people's image without some form of, if you like, justice being served. So those lessons are there. And if it is taken to a logical conclusion, I'm sure that one or two persons will learn 2 or 3 things as takeaway. Now, the House of Representatives, you will agree with me, called for the investigation into this matter prior to this action, and were clearly enraged, not because Mr. Femi Falana was involved, even if that may have caused a lot of distress to so many people who know him right within that house, but essentially because institutions of government, from the correctional centers to the Economic and Financial Crime Commission, were all roped into this whole allegation. And they felt that since they had the legislative powers to make appropriations in those to those institutions of power, institutions of government, including laws that are promulgated by this House of Representatives, they also have the right under the Constitution to, oversight them, including investigating into allegations of impropriety that are around them. But now that the matter is in court, I'm sure that will be brought up.
Let me ask you this question on Bobrisky. Bobrisky himself or herself has now come out to say the voice in that audio recording wasn't his, and so there's no reason for him to apologize. Now, the question is, on whose head does the burden of proof is now that Bobrisky has now essentially denied that the voice upon which the Falanas want him to apologize for is not his? Does the burden of proof rest on the Falanas to prove that it's his voice? Does it rest on Verydarkman, or does it rest on the House Investigative Committee?
So let's put it this way. I'm going to be very circumspect. The matter is already in court. I won't go into details, but I'll speak generally. You see, in every defamation matter, what you need to establish is publication. Is that defamatory statement or post or video or whatever was communicated, if it was in the heart of anyone who intended to defame you, it is not defamatory. If he told himself or herself about those defamatory words, it is not defamatory. If he was soliloquy, it is not defamation. It becomes defamatory when he communicates through publication or spoken words or slander or words to yet another person or the public before whom the reputation of the person who is defamed have been brought to disrepute. When that happens, you have the challenge that we're now trying to tackle.